Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back for another episode of Project Creation. And today we're talking about guilds. Guilds. Ashes of Creation is pretty in depth on what they want to talk about with guilds and how they want to keep the design focus along the way. Personally, though, are you guys typically guildies when it comes to playing MMOs, or do you guys kind of do solo play or?
No, I gotta be in a guild.
Yeah.
There's no fun playing an MMO by yourself.
Yeah, is it even an MMO then? It's
Yeah.
just
You're
single
right.
player adventure.
Yes. Yeah, I'm
Like,
very,
sure,
very much a guild person.
there's plenty of content that you can do on your own, but
Right.
I mean, when if you have multiple people playing, you might as well play with other people.
Yeah.
I've always wondered about that. Like most of the games that people try to play single player like that, I'm like, there are better RPGs that are made single player and you can experience all the content. Why are you trying to take a multiplayer game and make it single player?
Dude, yeah, and
So,
yeah, you always get the dudes on the forums like, "Oh, is it for like single player?" And I'm like, "Dude, this isn't the game for you, man. Like, you're not gonna get
Right.
it's an MMO,
Right.
Yeah, but starting a guild in AOC is gonna be pretty basic. You're gonna have your prerequisites. You got to have 5 people to actually start the guild, and also you're gonna have a material cost and a currency cost, which is pretty normal. You're gonna have to complete a quest in order to actually be able to start the guild, and that's different. Like, how do you guys
There's a quest?
You have to do a quest to start a guild.
Interesting.
Yeah, right. So I think it's maybe Intrepid wanted to make further content and to make more quests to do, so they maybe are sticking a quest in where they can. I don't know.
I have a different thought on that.
What do you think? I mean, I don't know.
So one of the big problems that I see whenever I play virtually any MMO really is people like people want everybody wants to run a guild and nobody wants to be in a guild, or sorry,
Right.
everybody. But anyways, you end up with 20,000 guilds on a server, and God, 18,500 of them have less than 10 active people in them. And
Yeah.
the community just becomes a split and split and split. Like for me, not only do I like the idea of a quest in order to make a guild, I almost feel like it should be a hard quest that requires 4 people to even be able to do, or 6 people, or 8 people.
Right.
Make it mandatory. Make it
Like
be
a
one
group.
of those things where
Yeah.
yes, so that you actually.
You have guild buddies
because
before you're trying to get the guild. Yeah.
Make friends before you create a guild. Yeah, absolutely. I'd like to see a game that tried something like that, make it harder. Like in all those games, if you go to the capital city is, or wherever it is that you form the guilds, you'll see people spamming. Need 3 people to come form guild. You don't have to stay, and then later on, after the game's been out for a while, people start paying money. I'll give you 5,000 gold to come form a guild or whatever. And it's real fast and easy to do that, and that's why people do it. But can you imagine if it costs you had to it took time and it was difficult?
Yeah, it might deter people. Yeah, it makes sense.
You'd get less overall guilds and get bigger communities, which for a PvP kind of competitive based game like Ashes is going to be, it might be a really good idea.
Yeah, I agree. Because I mean, like, if you go into World of Warcraft, I'm sorry that a lot of my stuff comes from World of Warcraft.
No, dude, that's good.
Yeah,
I mean, I think that's a great MMO to base a lot of stuff off, especially for Ashes.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, like, with World of Warcraft, like Zillion was saying, if you can just walk in and create a guild, and now everybody wants to be a guild leader, or they just want to play single player. And not everybody can be a guild leader. Having that quest line, something in place that can make it more difficult, hell yeah, I'm for it.
Yeah.
It'll definitely thin out the herd of
Yeah,
those people who are just going to create a guild and then just leave it sit there.
And then it just dies out like 14 days later, and it's just a waste of time.
I think having a good guild really makes a difference for the community that the servers community, because you're going to have a lot less players who are going to die out from the game. They're going to think all these guilds are bullshit. I don't really want to play anymore.
Right.
But if you had a good solid guild that you're in and that's engaging and active and fun and there's always something to do, you're more enticed to be in the game. But that's just me personally.
No, I think you hit the nail on the head right there too, because like even with Ashes, guilds, and we'll get into it, but guilds are going to be like such a fundamental pillar of the game for it to work that really Intrepid doesn't have the most control over, that's really on the player base.
Right.
Yeah, so I mean, it could go either way. Like me as a guild leader, I look at this quest line as a hurdle because it's another thing I got to do in order to establish the guild early, to get the node, to get everything going and running, and starting to get those gears churning. And then along with that, you're going to have a minimum level requirement, which is, I'm guessing, 10. There's no real say on what it is, but you can make the guild and do the quest line in the starting area. So however that ends up being, but it's going to be within like the first hour to 2 hours, maybe 3 hours within playing the game that you're going to be able to do it. So,
right.
And that's if you're grinding, Really, the next big thing is your guild size. And I've looked at a lot of the discords, and a lot of them have really big guilds. So guild size might become an issue. Since 300 is the max cap right now, we'll have to see on how guilds really can split that up, or however they might do it. That's might be an issue on their part.
Well, do you think it's on purpose?
I don't know if it's on purpose. I just think that Intrepid is trying to prevent zerging, And if,
well, that's what I meant on purpose.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, yeah.
Like they're
yes.
doing the best that they can to prevent one guild taking over the whole server. Boring.
That would screw the server over. That would totally screw the server over.
The node system kind of goes away. The castle system kind of goes away if everybody's just part of one big server. And so, yeah,
one big guild,
that's also
yeah.
honestly one big guild, yeah. And that's honestly one of my concerns that I have, that I'm a little bit nervous that if they go.
Yeah, it's almost like people go into, it's like a legion, of guilds, and we'll get into like how you can actually start alliances with other guilds and how you can really get the best effect out of the guilds. But one thing I do think, and we'll get into that even, is smaller guilds might not really be such a hindrance. They definitely have a lot of potential with an asset and an arsenal that they bring, that the game's going to be giving them. So, which you'll be able to get skills and different augmentations from leveling up a certain path of the guild versus leveling up the level cap. And there's two different branches of how you can do that. If you stay small, you might benefit pretty hard. So we'll have to see how. That's why I'm hoping that these benefits are great. Next is coming up. So I got a question for you guys. Which would you rather be a part of? A big guild with many members, or a smaller guild with a bigger selection of skill options?
I'd go smaller. Multiple reasons. First reason is having such a large guild is super hard to manage. Even with like back in the day with World of Warcraft when they had those 40-man raids, that was a bitch to get everybody online, everybody on the same page, everybody just there. Sometimes you'd only have like 20 people, so you got to go pug the other 20 people to join in on the raid, and even that took forever. So I mean, having a huge guild, I see a big communication problem going on. Now, I'm not saying that there might not be guilds out there who have really good communication skills and have everything down pat, everybody's on the same page, and they're able to run 300 people without any issues at all, flawlessly. To me, that would feel more like a full-time job. Like just having to manage that amount of people, especially if they're all active. We're assuming that they're all going to be active.
Right, yeah.
I would lose so much interest. It'd feel too much like a job.
Yeah,
feel
that'd
like
be,
I'm
yeah.
micromanaging, and it's just not fun at that point. So having a smaller guild where everybody's able to communicate just a little bit more easy, and then of course those added bonus for having a smaller guild, I can't beat that either.
Right, and I think that might be the nail in the coffin.
What about the perspective from not somebody managing a guild, but from someone
in the guild,
a rank and file member? Does that change your perspective on how you look at it, small versus large?
Me personally, yeah, because if I'm just like, let's say I just join a guild that has 299 members and now I'm that 300th member, they're capped out. I feel like I'm not really going to be heard. I feel like nobody's really going to pay too much attention to what I may say. what I may want to do. What if I want to join in on something and they're like, no, we already have 50 people who want to go. You're gonna have to skip out on the next one. It just
Yeah,
yeah.
that could be a big crutch.
Right. Yeah. I was just curious because you were because you were talking about it all from the perspective of someone a leader or an officer in a guild, and I just thought maybe it would change. But I just for the record, I agree. I've tried.
You think
joining
smaller
some of the
guild?
larger guilds? Oh yeah. Um, without question, like I would have said smaller guild without the benefits of the smaller
Yeah.
guild, but
Yeah.
and I'm not saying 10 active people. I'm saying like 45 or 50 active people.
Right.
And given my play style and self-admittedly somewhat elitist or min-maxer or hardcore or sweaty or whatever you want to say, like I would be trying to find the 40 best damn players that I could find that also fit my personality and like we got along well and all that stuff, and we would just roll like that and we would develop strategies to win fights against larger numbers and all that sort of things. That's the way I would approach that.
That's another big point there, is trying to find 300 people who can get along.
Mhm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know any
Yeah.
group out there that
With
has 300
Discord,
people that can
dude,
get
that's
along.
that's pretty hard, Even
We can't even find people with the 50 to 60 people we have.
yeah, I know.
Right.
We have. What are you talking about? Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, it's pretty interesting on that information alone. I would probably choose smaller guild, but I feel though a larger guild will benefit more just protecting the node and being more in the PvP realm, just because anybody could do it. There's no cap on it. With the sieges, yeah, but you're already at 250. So I mean, if every 300 person in your guild's coming, I mean, that's pretty unlikely. So 250 is a high cap. And if they want to do 500 to 5 versus 500, then you're going to get other people in there that are fighting a node that they don't really have any influence in other than the ones that are defending it. But yeah, I mean, I'd probably go smaller still just because it's easier to manage from my front. But as a player, I do like bigger guilds because it takes a lot of the pressure off of constantly being online and constantly trying to have to maintain something that the guild wants to uphold, but that's just my 2 cents on that.
That's interesting. Because you're still speaking from the perspective of a guild leader as opposed to a guild.
Dude, once I'm a guild leader, I can't not be a guild leader anymore. It sucks.
I wish more people in this world would understand that once you see something through a lens, it's hard to see it through another lens. Yeah. I think we'd all get along a lot better if more people understood that. And yes, so
preach it, brother.
I know. It's interesting because Mal brought up the negative side of being the leader of a big guild and the management and trying to find all that, and then not only do you got to manage all that, but you have to find capable officers for I don't know what your breakdown will be, maybe every 50 rank and file members you need one officer, so that's a tough thing. And I hadn't even thought about it, but the negative aspect of running a smaller guild, which is what you just brought up, which is like, and I've been there because I've tried to start up smaller guilds in other MMOs when I was a lot younger. And yes, you feel like you have to be on 24 hours a day just so that when somebody logs in, there's not that 0 next to guild members online, and they go,
it's just my guild's just guild. Yeah.
So yeah, there's a pressure to stay online all the time so that you're not. You're not a dead guild or whatever at that time. So that's interesting that you brought up the negative aspect of a smaller guild.
Definitely pros and cons to each side of the spectrum there, and sometimes you just have to weigh out the odds and which one are you willing to settle with and which one you're not.
Right.
And I definitely think it's a learning experience too. You can't go in it knowing what you're going to want to do because you haven't done it yet, And it could all blow up in your face, and you do encounter problems that you're going to have to get through and trial through, and you'll get it. But I mean, it's definitely a learning experience. And with that though, I think smaller guilds are probably easier just because they're more easy to manage, really. And less demand, but more, I guess, different demand, really. So we'll go into the next topic is the guild membership. A character may only be a member of one single guild, which is nice. This one's for you, Zill. Alts on the same account may join different guilds. Intrigue, espionage, and intelligence gathering is a legitimate aspect of this game. So you got to watch out for people's alts, man, in other guilds. You know.
Right. Yeah, it wouldn't make any sense at all for this game to have that account-based joining where your whole account joins the guild or whatever.
Right.
For that very reason, the intrigue and the political aspect and the espionage and all that.
Yeah.
There is no doubt whatsoever that there is going to be people. Matter of fact, I have a friend, a close friend, who has played a lot of games similar to this style, and that's his specialty. Like literally infiltrating the upper ranks of spycraft. He'll infiltrate the upper ranks of the leadership of an opposing guild and tear the guild apart from the inside, which
that's horrible, dude.
That's what he does, and he's good at it.
Yeah, fuck. What's his name? Is he playing Ashes?
He will be playing Ashes. Yeah,
going in and just stirring the pot on everybody.
Yeah, that makes me think. But yeah, I really like this feature, but it's for me it's a double-edged sword. You know why? But I do like this feature because I can have my own spies, but actually being the spy would be fun. I think that'd be a fun way to do things. And now that after reading this and when I was putting together this outline, I'm like, all right, so everybody that joins the guild will play with the main character on their account. If they don't, I want to see it on Discord. Live stream me your fucking account because I want to see your mains, dude. Otherwise, you ain't going to be in the guild. No, but I mean, if it comes to that, then yeah, that's precautionary stuff that you're going to have to take. But I do like the aspects of that in the game.
Yeah, I like that too because now it really makes you think, should I invite this person into the guild? What questions should I ask that really pokes the brain of what's going on? That way you're not bringing someone in who's just going to dismantle everything and cause chaos in the guild.
You almost got to make some psychological questions for him, just to CIA his ass, I mean,
I definitely think that there's going to be, like you said, you have to live stream on Discord your account.
Yeah.
And let me see who your characters are. And if you're not willing to do that, well, you'll find another guild to join.
Yeah.
Now that's if you're
that's
getting
ridiculous
into
though. Don't you think so? As a guild, you have to take it that far, that you don't trust anyone. But I think it's really up to.
You can't trust anyone.
I mean, I think it's a case-by-case basis.
Already.
Yeah, dude, we got tested hard, dude. But
did you really?
Yeah, already. Yeah,
yeah.
we had some couple guys. But I mean, I think that's just. I think that's Discord. Honestly, I think people in game might play a little different, just because they have their character at risk. Yeah. But I definitely don't think that it's going to be such a big issue. Now I think more so once we actually get into the game and people can actually see who's got the biggest stake to claim,
Right. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I don't think this is going to be a problem for just random everyday guilds.
Right.
This is going to be a problem for the guilds that have all the stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They're the ones that people are going to be trying to infiltrate. And also, I mean, I guess smaller guilds, if you find yourself in a rivalry of sorts, you could end up having to deal with some of the espionage and stuff. But if you're a guild, if I end up running a guild, it's almost certainly going to be a guild that is just trying to level up a node and do the raids if there's good raiding. And who cares that, if somebody wants to come in and be a spy and find out how we're killing the boss, whatever, I don't care. Yeah, I think that's going to be a little bit different. But yes, at the high end, Eve has the same thing. I don't know if you guys ever played any Eve online.
No.
But it has the same extremely, extremely high level of political intrigue, spies and espionage and all that going on because in a whole bunch of ways, Ashes is just Eve in medieval times.
Right, yeah. I'm okay with that though. I like a little bit of espionage, but you wouldn't get triggered at a guy trying to come into the guild to see how to beat the raid the fastest, If you guys held the key or
no.
Pure arrogance again, but just because you have the strategy don't mean you have the skill.
True.
I mean,
and I mean you can get online and look up a guide to kill a boss. I
Yes,
mean, that's
yes.
the other thing too. So it really
Yeah.
doesn't matter if somebody wants to join a guild just to see how you're killing the boss or how fast you can kill it.
Right.
There
You can
have been
just
a
pull
few
up a bunch of
times.
guides.
There have been a few times in the past with my rating in Star Wars that where we had a strategy for a boss that nobody else knew. It was our own, our own design on how to beat the boss, and we did find some ways that ended up like years later when it finally got out. I'd go back to the game and literally everyone's using the strategy that I designed 5 years ago
That's
that nobody
cool
knew about
though,
back then.
dude. I would be
Yeah.
proud of myself.
Oh yeah, that no, it's a pretty cool thing to have happen, and um, but in general, you like I said, you can know the strategy and you can have the gear to pull it off, but you still got to be able to effectively execute the strategy, and sure a lot of people can, but a lot of people can't.
Very true. All right. So with guilds, there only can be one single guild leader, as you guys may know. Guild masters can issue payouts to guild members. I'm not too sure on what that means, but I think more so on maybe to like get people out of the guild. You just pay them out and they're gone or
No,
something.
no, no, no. That's gonna be money, like in-game money. So isn't like running the nodes and stuff generate money for the guild? And
Yes.
caravan systems and all that
Yep.
stuff.
Yep. Yep.
I,
Yep.
I assume there's some type of a tax system, so I'm sure
There
it's a
is. Yep.
it's a it's a mercenary system.
Oh,
Tell
like
somebody if you
bounty. Yeah.
join my guild, yeah,
I'll
if you
pay
join my
you.
guild, I'll pay you 100 gold a week or
That
whatever
that's
out of
pretty
the
cool.
yeah.
That's different. I don't think I've ever seen that in an MMO. I don't know.
No, when I
I
was
mean,
reading it the other day because I was going over your outline and I was
Yeah.
like, wait, that's interesting. I started thinking about all the possibilities. Um, and again,
Yeah.
because I'm a
That's
raider, I see
enlightening.
everything through the lens of rating. I'm like, you could tell a guy, well, yeah, I'll join your guild and show you guys how to do such and such boss,
Pay
but
me out.
for a 1,000 gold payout or whatever.
Right. Right.
So yeah, interesting.
well, it sounds kind of similar to what we used to do on World of Warcraft in an old guild that I was in. I had a guild leader who was incredibly freaking intelligent on this, but every member would have to come in, and if they wanted to be a part of the guild, all they'd have to do is just ask and we'd invite them. But if you wanted to be a part of the raiding team or the dungeon team or anything like that, you would have to put gold into the guild, and it was a
Oh,
certain
okay.
amount for what you wanted to do. And it was only a one-time thing. You didn't have to do it every week or every month. It was just a one-time deal. And then if you were in the hardcore raiding team, uh,
You do it by
the guild
paying
leader.
though. You get to the hardcore by paying.
Well, yeah, you'd get into just the regular raiding teams and you would pay into that, and then as when we started doing the hardcore raids, he would pick and choose what people he wanted into his team. You didn't have to pay for it to get into that team.
Oh, okay.
And then from that point, when we would raid, he would pay you the gold that he was getting to be a part of that hardcore raid team in order to progress. So there was some way of uh, incentivizing you
Right.
to
Right.
be a part of the hardcore raid team and be online, be active, be here, and then
You
at
got
some
skin in the
point,
game.
That's pretty. Yeah, that's pretty cool,
Uh,
dude. I like that idea. Mel, why don't you tell me
I
about
heard
this
it.
before? No, just kidding.
I heard an analogy here, I don't know, a couple weeks ago or something where, and I guess I don't live in New York and I've never been in New York, and so I've never experienced this, but I guess people like sell CDs, their own personal music out of,
Oh,
just like off
dude, they
street
do
corners
that
and stuff.
shit in Chicago too, bro.
Okay, Chicago, yeah, that'd be another city
Yeah,
where it would
yeah.
happen. And they were like, do you notice that those people never give it away for free? Because if you give it away for free, the people throw it away as soon as they get it. But even if you charge $1 for it, somebody be like, "I bought this. I'm going." They'll listen
Right.
to it just because they
They
have
bought
skin in
it.
the game. Because
Right.
they have money on, latched into it. So,
Mhm.
I guess that's kind of an interesting concept. I know that's way off the topic of payouts, but as far as
Mhm.
getting people to have skin in the game for a raid team, making them pay to be on it is pretty interesting concept. I never heard
Yeah,
thought of that
it,
before.
it was interesting. I thought it was like, this is stupid. Why would I want to be a part of this guild? Like, you know what? I'll give it a try. I'll see where it goes. It's just in-game money. It's not like I'm losing anything other than
Right.
time.
Right.
But at the end of the day, when I got into the hardcore raiding team, it really paid off. I stuck with that guild for a pretty long time. I was getting payouts from being on the raid team, and I really had no reason to leave. I had no reason to go join a different raid team. I was pretty loyal with who I was with, and everything was fine and dandy. We did everything together on the game. And it definitely made a big difference when you're getting something out of it other than just the experience and all that, because you could just get that from anywhere else.
Mhm.
So having that was actually pretty nice, and it did make a big difference in the experience of the game.
Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah, that is interesting. That's cool though.
I'm gonna have to.
I like that.
I'm gonna have to start charging you guys to be on the podcast.
I made it. What are you talking about?
Wait, no, I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to charge you guys to have me on the
Oh,
podcast. That's
right,
what I
right.
meant.
Rent
Yeah,
you.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm
yeah.
gonna rent your services. So guild invites real quick. Characters may be invited to join a guild anywhere in Vera, so there's not going to be any blockage with being next to the person to invite them in some MMOs. Invites can be done through the guild UI, which will be pretty in depth. There will also be a guild invite chat command too, so a little food for thought.
Okay.
Server reservations allow guild members as well as unaffiliated players to reserve character slots on the server starting in the beta testing stages of the game. What do you guys feel about this?
I'm
A
all for
character
reserving.
slot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, did you get into Classic when it got released last year or the year before last, and you were able to get in and make your character and everything, so you can claim a name, so you didn't have to go and do stupid shit to your name? It's kind of the same concept to where when the server starts building up, your character is already reserved, so you don't have to worry about joining into the game and the server's already full.
You already
Does
got
that
a
make
spot
sense?
before you
Yeah.
join
Right. Right. I mean, I've done that. I did that with ESO when ESO launched.
Yeah,
I-
I mean it's good, but I mean if a server's already full by the time I get there, I'm probably just gonna jump to a different one. It's not a big deal to me,
in. Right.
unless they
like.
only have like 3 servers.
That's what I
For
mean.
a
What
whole
if they only
entire
have one NA server? You know, it's just one giant NA server, and then you're like, oh,
And so then you
fuck.
can't get your name.
You can't get on. You can't play the game.
You can't get on. Yeah, you
Oh,
won't be
get
able to get on
on.
this server. Yeah.
Well, they'll have to open more servers.
Well, yeah,
Well, yeah.
I would think
I
that
mean,
they
that's
would.
just-
You know,
and
NA1,
that's what they'll
NA2.
even have to. And they've talked a lot about like how they were gonna. I saw there was a big controversy about it where like they want servers to settle in at like 10,000 players. Like they want players to have a population to be like 10,000 per server, but they're going to start with 50,000 per server because they know the game's going to be bigger to start and then wane down after that.
Do they
Is the map
want?
even big enough? For
Yeah, that's
50,000?
what I mean. Like they must have like some way to determine that, but maybe they want it smaller so that there's room for growth. You know, that's pretty interesting though. I mean,
Yeah.
stuff in 50. I don't even think 50,000 is a lot in the server, is it?
50,000 active players is a lot of damn players. I know that.
I mean, how many players does WoW have on their servers? They got a lot, don't they? Like a couple hundred.
I would say maybe about 10 to 20,000 if it's an active server.
Oh,
If
really?
it's not an
Okay.
active
Yeah,
server,
that's a
then
lot
it's
then.
more like 5 to 9,000, if that.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense. Well, shit. Well,
But
hopefully they figure.
as far as active players go on World of Warcraft, even on full servers, you don't even have to have a wait time to join unless it's like the beginning of an expansion.
Right.
So yeah, it's kind of hard to compare World of Warcraft to anything right now because they're
Yeah, I know.
going downhill.
Yeah, I know. They're falling downhill fast. So one thing I wanted to say in the beginning of the show was for all the people out there that aren't in guilds, I definitely recommend joining a guild. Whether it's a good guild or a bad guild, doesn't really matter because just on the guild benefits you're going to have are pretty impactful for you. Like you have so much more options as a guild, being in a guild than not being in a guild. But you'll have gear enhancements, passives, quest lines, guild halls, guild castles, guild activities, name of guild displayed next to your character name, guild tabards, guild mounts, guild coats, and guild barding. So there's definitely a lot of things you'll be missing out on, but which benefit are you guys looking forward to most with joining a guild or being in a guild?
I would just say just fucking around, basically.
Yeah,
There's nothing funner than just screwing around
fucking around with
and
your
just
friends. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
and
having
just going
friends,
into
that's
random,
it.
yeah, going to do just random things that probably won't even matter, won't progress the guild in any way, shape, or form, but having that moment
Right.
to where you can go do that
Mm-hmm.
and just hang out with your friends and do fun stuff. I mean, that's the biggest part of a guild to me. Um, Progression's always great. Being a good guild is great, but just having fun is number one.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Totally. What about you, Zill?
Pretty,
Same?
yeah, just having friends and playing with your friends. I
It's
mean,
nice to have some
that's
friends.
the
Yeah.
yeah, that's the benefit of a guild is you have a bunch of friends and y'all play games together. I mean,
Right, yeah.
that's it. That's the whole point. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And then, well, yeah, when it comes time to start doing some of the more group focused content, whether that be PvP or PvE. I mean, yeah,
Right.
that's going to be fun. It's for me, I think I'm most interested to figure out how this I feel like this game's going to be a game changer in terms of the way a lot of people see MMOs or experience MMOs.
Yeah.
And so I'm interested to see how that goes. I'm more interested in that than the other.
Right. Yeah, definitely with Ashes, I think that it's almost weird. Like they're creating a new genre or new type of MMO, just based on PvP, PvE, and crafting, like all intertwining with each other on like a new level. It's not so much the PvE content, or just the PvP content. It's everything's integrated all at once that needs to happen all simultaneously for everyone to grow,
Right.
And
right.
it's all competitive, and there's challenges in between players and NPCs and all that stuff too. So it's pretty cool. For me personally, I think the guild activities is probably going to be the most fun, the most memorable. I'm just curious to see like how deep those activities are going to go, just from my perspective, because like I want to create a fun guild, and I think being able to create kind of your own activities within the game would be pretty fun for the guild. But also you have ones that are really fun too, that are built into the game, but just on the guild side of it, just to have a fun community,
It's not Sesame Streets with excessive swearing. I don't want it.
Yeah, dude. Fucking Big Bird over here. So we'll get into guild progression. Guild progression occurs through participation in different systems: quests, nodes, social organization, crafting certain items, and events. Guild progression grants skills that the guild can allocate to unlock aspects of their skill tree, such as passive skills, augments, and membership count. So those are the three different assets you're going to gain when progressing the guild. So the passive abilities increase certain stats relating to the guild member's ability to perform in combat or in other aspects of the guild, such as the economy. Augments may apply to upper tiers of the guild progression. So maybe a guild that's a little smaller, between the 30 to 50 realm of active players or players in the guild, they're going to be the ones that achieve the actual augments, which I think augments are like so cool. I don't know about you guys, but like being able to get augments from that is just so fucking cool, dude. That's like another reason why I think the religion system's so fucking cool, is because you get augments from it, but this applies to guilds that have opted for non-expansive member route. It benefits guild members with a classification of officer or knight. You get a nice title with that. Guild members do not need to be citizens of the same node, and this is the real cool thing. Guild members don't need to be citizens of the same node in order to benefit from passive skills and augmentations or augments. This alone makes me just think that as a guild, we thought about breaking into different nodes, and you can do that, but when you come into a siege, you're inherent to that citizen node. And if part of your guild is on one node and it's getting seized, say by the other node or another node around it, the guilds can't protect each other. They'll be split. So you'll be attacking your own guild on the node, dude. It's like, oh, fuck, man. Yeah, so I mean, even with that, I was just like, holy shit, dude, this is going to get real hairy. Guild size can be traded off for guild progression. The higher the guild's member cap, the fewer availability skill options will be available to that guild. Guild alliances may be a key part of creating a larger guild. Guild halls can be unlocked at certain stages of the guild advancement. Guilds cannot respect their skill points once allocated. This is subject to change.
Man,
it's a lot of information, guys, but
I am not a big fan of any system that tries to do that.
In what regards?
Like I think I talked about this in the last podcast, but an old MMO I used to play, Dark Age of Camelot.
Right.
You know, it took months and months and months to get to max level. It was a long grind game to max level, and there was no respec. And one point in the wrong place could really gimp your character at the end game. And so you had to hit that like exactly perfect, and you had to have the whole class planned out. And so there are all these people who leveled to the end to find out, oh, well, the way I level the way I trained my character screwed it over. And I don't like when you don't give people the ability to respec at all. Now they did say it's subject to change, so I really hope that it does. But, you know, can you imagine having a guild and you guys spend 6 months doing all kinds of stuff together and doing everything, and you get, you know, to some certain tier of the guild progression system or whatever, and find out that, you know, I fucked up. All of the benefits that you chose were suboptimal, or you chose one that's like really gimps you, or like I've seen some games where there was really poorly thought out advancements, and it's actually better to not have the advancement, you know, stuff like that. So I don't like the idea of not being able to change your benefits around, you know, have it be on a timer so that you can't do it all the time, or have it cost money, or, you know, make it where you have to do a quest or something, but don't just make it where you're just stuck with whatever stupid decision you made, because we're all going to make stupid decisions, and because nobody knows what's optimal.
I don't know. Like I'm totally with that, and I'd get scared at that too, because I don't want to fuck up. But I think it's also good because it prevents guilds from being able to game it. You know, like they go down this route, they build to a huge guild, right? And they're just getting pumped in PvP. But that's the route that they chose because they needed to make the big guild. But they want to respec, and they split their guild into two. Now they want to get abilities. You know, now smaller guilds are having to fight a harder opponent just because they were allowed to do it. So, I mean, I get it, the trade-offs and perks to it, but I mean, I don't know. Like, I think that too. Like, if you gimp yourself, you're fucked, you know, and as the guild in the whole progression, I think that's more meaningful than fighting a harder opponent. You know, you just get better, you know?
Right. Well, yeah. Yeah, and it's even worse. Not only like with the gimping thing, like if you gimp your character, you're one person, but if you gimp your guild, it's 50 people or 300 people or whatever that have been working hard towards something, and it's like, oh, well, the reality is we need to cancel this guild and start another one and start from scratch, because we are not allowed to respec, and that benefit we took actually, you know, is a detriment.
Right.
To what we're trying to do or whatever. So I don't know. That's a tough one, but you know, I also understand the point that you're making, that then people will figure out the most optimal way, and that's the only way anybody will play. And
that's what I mean. And then you get the meta, and then they have to change it. And then, but that's even like there's a meta within guilds, like where there doesn't have to be, you know, just on a progression tree.
No, there does have to be. This is something I have like a soapbox rant about, because I know a lot of people who get frustrated about metas in games and all that stuff, and they're always trying to come up with ways to get around the meta or to have there not be a meta. And I'm just sitting here going, there will always be a meta.
No, I don't mind the meta. I don't mind the meta.
Right. Well, I'm just saying somebody's going to figure out that there is one way to do it that's 1% more optimal than every other. Yeah. Or the next best option, and that's going to be the meta, and everybody's going to be, not everybody, but the sweaty tryhards are going to chase that. Yeah, that's what they're going to do.
Beards, yeah.
I'm gonna chase whatever the 1% upgrade is, because I want to have the best possible character and make the raids the easiest and all, you know, all that sort of thing. So it kind of drives me crazy when people are always trying to figure out ways to get around the meta. Dude, you're never getting around the meta.
Right,
There's always going to be a meta.
That's why it's there.
The only way you can get rid of a meta is by making a new meta. That's just
yes.
How it is.
But there will always be a meta. Yes, absolutely.
So with creating a guild and going the routes that you will, and gaining those like passive abilities, Jeffrey Bard kind of touches on it here, but he says it's not always going to be about combat. You could have an economic focus guild, which we've seen. I mean, if you look at the Discord, there's a lot of just trader guilds and economic focus guilds. You can have the guilds that are bounty hunter guilds. There's a lot of guilds out there, but and there's all sorts of different things that you can kind of put together to give your guild its own identity. So I like that Ashes brings that, because you can really be a guild of what you want to be a guild about. You know, you don't have to be a guild to do everything, but majority of the guilds kind of are about everything. So, I mean, I'd rather see more of a niche role between guilds, because I think it makes it a lot more fun. So we'll get into guild reputation. Guilds may be able to allocate points to increase their reputation with the node that houses their guild hall. This will affect the NPCs you encounter, the type of quests you encounter, and the merchant services that's on the node, which I feel is pretty cool on how they actually want to intertwine the NPCs of the node into your story, basically, or your everyday life.
It definitely entice people to join your guild as well, especially if you have a node that has a very like high traffic amount of people coming through and in and
Right.
out. That, you know, if you're a part of the guild and you're getting those different NPC interactions, which I'm going to assume maybe cheaper materials, maybe
Yeah, probably.
you know, maybe more money when you complete a quest, or you know, whatever it may be, cheaper repair costs if there's going to be any. I think it would definitely make someone who's in that node a lot saying, oh, you know, this might not be a bad idea to join the guild and get those, you know, extra bonuses when I'm here at the node.
Right.
Yeah, it definitely could be a big guild grower as well if, you know, people aren't already in a guild.
Right. Or just in your node in general, just people wanting to join the node just because of how well off your node's going to be, you know? But yeah, like, I mean, I even look at it on the actual like dialogue front, you know, like you have a higher reputation with these NPCs, they treat you different. Therefore, they give you different quests, maybe better quests or just different quests, you know, that progress your node in this way versus if you were mean to them, you know? And then maybe if you were mean to them, then you start to get different types of NPCs that come that are like sketchy NPCs or real, like, you can kind of have that like the crime city or the crime node, or you can have like the prosperous and like everybody's friendly. It's like Texas versus New York, you know. You can, but yeah, I like that. I think that's pretty cool. All right, so then from there, we'll move on to patron guilds. Whether an organization is a patron guild of their node means it contributes the most amount of work to that specific node from its members. Patron guilds unlock the following benefits for their members. And before I list this off, I definitely think being a patron guild is a lot more beneficial than not being a patron guild. But with patron guilds and building inside the node, you'll get emblems that can be applied to guild armor that can be purchased from the actual node, participation in the node's stock markets, ability to participate in specific guild-based missions that will progress the guild's leveling and development, allocation of guild points to unlock specific node abilities for guild members, ability to claim in-node guild hall. These have different perks and benefits to halls placed on freehold plots, so they're going to be different already. Any number of guilds can be in a node, but the number of patron guilds within the node is limited by node stage.
So a metropolis can have 3 patron guilds, so the biggest level node
Right.
can have 3. There'll be 3 guild halls in there, and your status as a patron of the node or patron guild of the node is based on who does the most work to the node by the members of the guild.
And another big thing, I don't know if you know this, Zil, but the more you contribute to that node, the most race that contributes to that node will determine what the node looks like in terms of architectural structure and whatnot.
Right.
So,
right.
That's another big
whole
thing
system
too.
that they have set up with the races and the way that they all have like cultural
influence and stuff.
Their clothing and their architecture and all that
Right.
has cultural influences, and it permeates through the game in a lot of different ways. It is really, really interesting.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you caught that, Mal, but you will be able to have a guild hall that's on a freehold plot if your guild's not good enough or active enough or whatever to have one in a node.
Okay.
Yeah, I think there's a strong
only thing-
separation there for sure.
the big concern I just had is if it was a smaller guild or multiple small guilds coming together on a node, how are we all gonna implement all of them? I would hate to sit there and be fighting over who's gonna put the hall down, you know. So
Right.
Hope
just one of those things
Well,
there. I
you
would hate to
definitely
see it.
have that.
But
No,
I'm
the
talking
the
about like if we're
limitation.
all allies is gonna be a little challenging because then it gets to a point to where, well, you guys are gonna have to decide who's gonna be the one who's gonna drop the haul. Now, if it's gonna be a race to see which guild is gonna be putting in the most resources and the
Mhm.
most effort, then that's fair. But if you're having
Right.
three different guilds come in and say, well, who's gonna put the haul down? Well, it's gonna be me. Nope, it's gonna be me. Or no, it's gonna be me.
Looks to me that
So
you're going to let the game decide.
yeah, well,
yeah,
let's see who decides. Yeah.
Yeah, let the game decide on that. That's
Mhm.
looks like that's going to be how that goes. And I'll
yeah, and
also
I think
say
that's fair.
with a limitation of 300 people per guild, that's pretty small. And I also is that unique accounts or is that characters? That's an important question too. Like,
I
can a
think that's
guild
just characters, 300 characters.
characters?
Yeah.
So yeah, a guild member or a guild leader can't even put all stuff all his characters in his own guild and all that stuff.
Mhm.
And so that
Nah,
limitation,
won't
that's
be
a
room.
pretty small limitation, and I don't think that a guild of 50 or 60 really good players who are working really hard and have a good strategy and stuff may be able to outwork, for lack of a better term,
Oh, hell yeah,
you know,
dude.
300 members.
100%. Yeah.
So I'm, so Star Wars: The Old Republic I've said it before. That's the game that I played for a long time,
Right.
and it has 500 is the cap for guilds there. I
Right.
think they've recently raised it to 1,000, but anyways, for a long time it was 500. And they have a system called Conquest, which is just everybody. There's a whole bunch of different activities that you can do every week, and every time you do one of those activities, it gives you points, and you can go after. There's like different planets you can try to conquer, and if your guild gets the most points, you conquer the planet and you own it for the week, and there's benefits to it. So that's the little system they have. And yeah, there's a whole bunch of 500 member guilds, but there are 100 member guilds who compete regularly with the 500 member guilds for conquests.
Right.
By being more organized and focused and
And
all that stuff.
are they effective? Like, can they hold their weight?
Now they did early on. Now at a certain point, especially because there was achievements tied to conquering every planet, there were several guilds that became just they are conquest guilds, and so everybody on the server has a character in one of the big conquest guilds, and all you do is you log on and you get your maximum points on that like every week, and then those guilds always win the planet that they go after.
Right.
But that's kind of a unique to that game with the way that it ended up working out. Again, that was a cap of 500. You're talking about a cap of 300. I really think that a 50 to 70 player guild would be able to compete with a 300 player guild, especially given that there's going to be benefits specifically given to smaller guilds that are not given to bigger guilds.
Right.
Abilities and stuff. So that's pretty interesting, and it's making me really want to put together like a what were they called? Achilles's elite, the Myrmidon. It makes me want to put together a Myrmidon style guild. And it's like, here's me and my 40 elite friends.
Yeah, dude.
You know,
Get a Spartan guild out there. Yeah, dude.
Spartan guild. Yes, yeah.
It's true, man. And like, I think that they're going to be the ones that are going to be prospering more so than bigger guilds. But we'll see in the end. Like, I think also just with numbers, you could be almost anywhere. You can definitely, you might not like stopping the threat, but you're assessing the threat in order to be able to come up with a better game plan to stop them, but like if you aren't online and and they're in your node and they're just causing havoc and all your citizens are just kind of getting pissed off that the guild that's supposed to be protecting them isn't there. But we'll have to see, honestly. I mean, I could see it going both ways, but I definitely think it's more so in the favor of the 50 to 70. For sure. So with that, though, comes guild alliances, and guild leaders can create an alliance at a certain level by completing another quest. Once created, the guild leader can invite up to 3 other guilds to this alliance, which you could have a total of 4 guilds in an alliance. Guild leaders will be able to pool their resources into a guild alliance bank. So you guys will all be able to have access to that. There will be alliance-specific quest lines that are only for that alliance. Alliance members will share a common chat channel for those guild leaders out there. Alliances will have affiliations and gear that can be attained. It's pretty cool too.
Okay.
And then guilds may enter into trade agreements.
If they launch this game with all of these features,
That's
I
so
just-
much, right, dude? I'm like, fuck, Steven,
so
this is
much
too much, dude. You gotta.
We're all gonna have to quit our jobs so we can just live inside inside of Vera. This is ridiculous.
I know,
love
dude.
it. Okay,
I do too, yeah. You can only invite a number of guilds to an alliance before you must form a new alliance. And then those alliances can have a de facto friendship, but they won't have any game component of connection. What the alliance system would allow is pooling of resources by guild leaders into an alliance guild bank. Will allow certain participations in different quest lines. It will allow common areas for chat and for members, and it will allow affiliations and gear that can be attained as well. We will have a specific system that relates to being able to invite other guilds into an alliance that sets a flag on those characters, for anyone knowing the back end of that. Basically, though, you're going to be able to do a guild alliance, which is pretty cool. I do like those. So that's what I mean. Like, is this game going to be constantly about being a big guild type of thing, or is it going to be about the alliances you have? And there you have it, guys. That is part 1 for this week. Tune in next week for part 2 of Guilds to find out the answer. Thanks for coming.